Rejiggled my beans.
Warning, this podcast may contain bad language and stories that some listeners may find offensive.
Well, we won't be using their names, so if they are offended, they don't know it's about them.
We'll use the little blackout things on their eyes.
I never got that. Like, you can see their entire face. It's like the Batman and Robin thing, isn't it?
Yeah, but they're not like Simpsons characters. They're not instantly recognisable from the rest of their body.
I don't know, man. I'm pretty sure I can recognise you if you put, like, a mask on.
It's because I'll always be wearing a 90s t-shirt and a shirt.
That is very true. But you are the fashionista.
I don't think anyone's ever said that about me, ever.
No, they call you the
Bet you regret saying that, don't you?
That is not easy, eye.
Welcome to the Seesaw Podcast with T and Cleves.
Each week, offering up a delayed perspective on life. Welcome to a shiny new episode of Seesaw. I'm T.
You sure are.
That's Cleves. This time, coming...
I never indulge you.
You never indulge me. Never. It's a one-sided relationship.
I'm not out here to please you.
Well, not with that attitude. And we're coming from the dizzying heights of Seesaw Towers, floor 210.
Are you keeping count?
Yeah.
Like a little
Yes, I am.
scoreboard, a little tally chart.
I have got a tally chart.
Bit boring at first, isn't it? All those ones down, but when the 5 comes up,
Woo!
score them right out.
Yeah. How do you cross out a tally chart?
You just chuck it in the bin.
What, the whole thing?
Yep. When you realise that you've been wasting your time scoring a tally chart down when really you could just be tapping it up on your phone.
That is very true.
Buy an abacus.
Said nobody.
They were old even when I was at school.
Well, I remember I was given one.
Oh, as a present.
Yeah, it
Last
was.
year for Christmas.
I was given one, and my immediate thoughts were I'd rather have a calculator.
When were you given one?
I must have been 5 or 6.
Oh, right, so it wasn't recently.
No.
I don't know.
When I was at school.
Maybe your wife would have given you as like an art piece.
Art piece.
Any sort of shit, yeah. Any old shit's art these days, isn't it? Put an abacus on a stool, that's it, art.
Put it on a sideboard. It's definitely art. I suppose we could have our own, when we're coming up with merch, have our own Seesaw abacus.
It's useful to know one.
It's art, like you
Oh,
said.
yeah, sorry. I forgot my own point about it being art. But even I knew it was bullshit. I wasn't being serious.
Nay to abacuses.
Abaci.
Is that the plural of abacus?
Yeah, abaci. Like octopi or hop high.
Okay, I'm going to take you on that. I honestly don't
Or
care.
peni.
I thought it was a score of penises.
It's a flobble of penises.
A flobble.
Yeah.
I suppose that is the sound they would make. So, this week, what is our topic, Cleves?
Our topic is stuff blind people do.
I think we have to be less vague than that, because that's very vague.
Stupid stuff that blind people have done
I think that's more accurate.
through being blind.
Welcome to Tales from the Crips.
Stories, scrapes, and disabled fails.
So, essentially, it's like short stories, but not. So, we have met a lot of blind people who have done questionable things over the years. And I think today we're just going to cover some of these stories because they are ludicrous. And hopefully you get a cheap laugh out of them.
You can't laugh at disabled people.
You totally can.
Yeah, you can. It's fine.
Hopefully this episode will encourage you to laugh at disabled people.
Shit.
In the right context. I mean, you can't do it cruelly, like someone's walking along with crutches and you just laugh at them for no reason.
They have to fall over first.
Exactly. And there's a banana peel involved, you know, more the credit, isn't it?
We get a crutch stuck in a grate.
It's not a great time, is it?
Managed to get it out, it'd be a great escape.
We got dad jokes for days.
Let's move on. It's great.
Let's move on, shall we? So there was one particular individual that was the inspiration for this, And we're going to start off with stories about this person who we met at Blind College. Totally blind gentleman. What are we going to call him, please? We can't call him by his name.
Schmeichel.
Horace.
Phyllis.
Let's go with Horace, shall we?
Horace is ridiculous.
Let's go with Horace. Which, of course, is the most ridiculous name that no one's ever been called in their life. So, fucking Horace. For the context, I lived with Horace. As I alluded to with the last episode about universities, I lived in halls of residence at the college, got sick of it very quickly and decided I'm going to go to one of these outdoor residential places. Would have liked to have a place of my own, but I had a roommate named Horace. Can't keep laughing at the name.
Can we call him Whore for short?
You can call him Whore if you want, but it might get confusing.
With your mum.
God damn it. So Horace, totally blind gentleman, has been from birth. I assume he still is blind. I haven't spoken to him in many, many, many years. And I'm kind of happy about that, because he was very hard work.
You would be if your name was Horace, which it wasn't.
It was.
So he had no excuse, really.
He had no excuse. But it was hard work, wasn't he?
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
So we lived in this house.
A very big house in the country.
No, unfortunately not. There's a 3-bedroom semi-detached. So shall we start with something a bit of a shorter story to begin with?
Short stories with T and Horace.
So this one we're going to call The Thrust.
You just make that name up on the spot.
Yes.
Okay.
As with all sort of like students, I wanted a banging sound system and had it in the front room. I had an assortment of like albums and stuff like that you acquired for me through legitimate means, I will say.
Really?
Well, yeah,
everything I owned back then was illegally downloaded. Everything.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, it was legitimate for me. I never did the downloading.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So one day I was at lectures and I come back and I could hear the music. I think it was Metallica. And I could hear the music as I was coming down the road. I thought, that's definitely my sound system. It's quite loud. It's one of the albums that was on the side. Come in the front door, and the living room door is closed. I'm like, okay. He hasn't heard me. Yeah, he's probably making something to eat or something like that. So go into the front room, and he still hasn't heard that I've actually come home, let alone open the door to the lounge. This debunking the myth that blind people have really good hearing.
Yeah, no, but you've got Metallica blasting.
Yeah, that's true. And what do I find? But there's a one-seater sofa, like an armchair, and he's got both hands on the armchair, the arms, and he's air thrusting. He's not sitting in it, but he's air thrusting in front of him, bobbing his head to the music as he like pendulous hips.
Band name.
I had no idea what the fuck he was doing. So I let him go for around half a minute, thinking, like, this, I must have just caught him at like the wrong time, but he's going for it. And eventually I just say, hello, Horace. He shits his pants like he'd been caught with his pants down. Yeah, he tried to sit back on the couch and he fell off the couch as well. As he tried to sit down, he'd thrusted too close to the sun.
Jesus.
Thrusted too close to the sun.
What song was it?
I believe it was Fuel.
Wow.
So,
I would have preferred it if it was like frantic and he was thrust into the tick parts.
I mean, he has no rhythm, so... Needless to say, I would put that song on as much as I could around him.
Just a dick move.
It's a dick move. He'd go bright red every time.
Sad but true.
That would have been an even better song. To this day, I don't know what he was doing.
Maybe that's how he thinks people dance.
Maybe.
If you've never seen someone dance in your entire life, do you think that's how people dance? Because dancing is just kind of like, you feel the groove, don't you? And that's maybe how he felt it, by thrusting uncontrollably into the air.
I suppose so. But why he was bracing himself on the couch, I don't know.
Well, you don't want to over-thrust, do you?
I suppose.
Just thrust halfway across the room. You want to keep hold of the chair just in case your hips momentum takes you on away from it.
That is true, and I suppose he needed support. He was a bit of a portly fella.
Once that weight starts moving,
no amount of force will stop it.
yeah. That's why they put brakes on a bobsleigh.
He's implying that he's a bobsleigh.
Yeah, give him a run and he'll thrust his way down it.
Oh, good lord. So, that is the thrust. I don't know if it would have been worse catching a wank.
That probably would have been worse, I think. Much worse.
For him, I guess so, but at least it would have been a less of a what the fuck moment.
I don't know, if he was wanking in, like, the living room, like, in a common living room, if you live in a shared house, you do it in your bedroom, don't you?
That is very true.
You're not, like, danger wanking in the living room waiting for someone to come in.
Maybe that was his kink.
He does it with the loud music as well, just for the extra danger. He's been desensitised to listening out for the door.
He was the worst blind man in the world.
I don't know.
We might get on to some others.
Yeah.
Let's move on to another story involving Horace.
And that same living room.
And you were here for this one.
Yeah, it was.
So do you want to give like the background of the situation that put us there?
Yeah, so basically, on one day a week, me, T, and Horace and another guy used to dick around doing a band practice. It wasn't really band practice. We basically just went to the chippy, got some chips, came back and pretended like we were going to write some lyrics, but then never did.
Can I interject here as well? Just a quick one. Horace, we took turns every week buying the chippy, didn't we? Every time there was Horace's turn to buy, he would get everyone the cheapest thing he could, but then whenever it wasn't his week, he would get the most expensive shit.
Yeah, that was a dick move. But yeah, we used to come back, eat the chips, bang all the paper in like a little Christmas pile in the corner, eat the stuff, watch Family Guy, and then pretend to write some lyrics, but never actually get around to doing it. Horace is kind of sat in his chair.
So what was his meal of choice, Cleves?
Usually chips and gravy, wasn't it? With like whatever, like fish chips gravy or
pie.
Yeah, whatever's the. I mean, I'm a pie man. I'll hold my hands up to that.
He always used to put on a plate as well. I think that's important for the story. Like he'd go and he'd get it and he'd put
but like not just put the chip wrapper on the plate, like pour it out onto the plate.
Yeah.
Gravy and all. Like you didn't. Well, fair enough. You pour your gravy in your chips, don't you? Some people like to dip, whatever. But like I normally just kind of open the wrapper and then put the wrapper on the plate, just so it's not directly on my knees and I'm getting grease on my knees.
Yeah.
He likes to pour it all out onto the plate. Fine, whatever. It's more washing up. Fuck you. But because he's poured it out on his plate,
he's sitting in the same armchair as well from the thrust as well.
Was it that armchair? It's seen a lot of action, that armchair.
That has seen a lot of action. And I distinctly tell in him when he was sitting down before he poured his gravy on, like his plate was like slanted towards him. I distinctly remember saying, Horace, you like flatten your plate, because like it was, you could see the angle and how liquid is going to be affected by that angle. It's like, do that. And he always had a habit of like, if you were trying to like give him, he never liked getting any input, did he? Like trying to help him out. He got really angry. He's one of these angry disabled people who doesn't want anyone's help. He can do it all himself, even if like he just won't take anything on board. Well,
he's pretty much there, and he's slanting his plate, and then the gravy starts slip sliding all over his crotch, and then dribbling down onto the cushions.
Hot gravy.
Not made of leather either. Proper fabric cushions.
Yep.
They're going to leave a nice brown shitty stain on there.
How did he react to this?
He went, oh, no problem. Finished up his chips, and then flipped the cushion. Problem was, gravy all over the other side. This was not his first gravy rodeo.
No.
He's ridden that gravy train before, and got off too early, it seems.
So he's done the exact same fucking thing previously.
He's had warm gravy crotch a few times. And you know what? I'll hold my hands up. I did the same thing yesterday, but I learned. Today, I ate at the table. Made a mistake. I hold my hands up. I got brown jeans in the front, to be clear. This guy clearly hadn't.
No.
Also, my sofa's made of leather. I mean, luckily, mine just all spilled up my jeans. Whereas, you know, if I got it on the sofa, quick wipe down. This wasn't the case, was it?
No. And these were quite thick cushions as well, so there was no way that this would have soaked through. Like, this was from a previous situation.
Yeah, and in this case, and I probably should have asked you on the previous one as well, his style out was to basically just flip the cushion like, yeah, no bother, just style it out, we'll flip the cushion, job's a good one. No, it isn't. How did he start like thrust dancing? What was his excuse?
He didn't have one. After he landed on his arse, I just ignored him, went into the kitchen and just made my lunch.
Oh, man, I would love to have seen him just, like, explain that out.
There was nothing to say. He did turn off the music and go upstairs.
Oh, man. Oh, I feel a little bit sad now.
I don't. He's a fucking knob. And I think at this point I will say, like, he was generally a dickhead.
He was a bit of a douche.
I'm not going to just rag on him and like, ha ha ha, let's just take the piss out of a blind guy. He was genuinely a dickhead and like quite a rude person. A lot of this was comeuppance, like with the couch flip. We did tell him that this was going to happen and he just did not listen at all. He was like, no, he was fine. He knew best.
Brown soggy bollocks.
The thing is, he didn't even wipe the couch down. Like,
That's it as well. That's
he didn't even wipe it. He just flipped it.
Like, at least kind of rub the gravy off.
Yeah, try and get it off with like a damp, like a sponge or something like that, and then flip it.
Yeah.
But no.
Here's the thing, though, right? We badmouth him, but you were quite kind to the guy, weren't you? Didn't he once ask you to watch something?
Okay, so I had one of those TV DVD, like where the DVD player is built into the TV, and that was in my bedroom. This was pre-internet. Like the internet wasn't...
It wasn't pre-internet. You get internet, but it was on a laptop.
Yeah, it was a laptop only.
And broadband, I think, had only just started coming in properly.
Yeah, so there was no internet in the property.
Shit.
Like phones weren't like good enough for the internet at this point either. Unless you went to like the library, like you couldn't. You didn't have internet outside of that, really.
Yeah, you were watching old school TV freeview porn.
Yeah, like the 10-minute
preview. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right. So
catch some boobs
if you were lucky. So it was either you go for magazines for your pornographic content, or you always have one filthy mate who nicks a load of stuff from his dad. We had this situation. It was all bootleg stuff as well.
Everything was porn bootleg on DVD, wasn't it?
Porn bootleg DVDs. So I had some of these. I mean, I'm living with another guy. Okay, you don't advertise that these are things. But I always felt that he was always listening outside. In fact, I knew he listened outside my door. Like, not just for this instance, but like, there were times where I would just sort of like be listening to music. I'd open my door and he's just standing by the door.
That is weird.
Yeah. So
maybe
I knew...
maybe he wanted to just catch. Maybe he wanted to hear you, see if like, that sounds like a thrust.
Maybe.
Maybe he wanted to hear how to dance.
Maybe that's what it was. Maybe he was trying to hear how to dance.
It's ridiculous when someone else says it, admittedly.
It's fucking stupid. So, because of this, I think that he caught on that I had pornography. One day, I think I was just eating my lunch in the kitchen, and he goes, "Oh, you've got pornography?" Yeah, got some DVDs. He goes, "Can I watch one?" I was like, "Where?" Because he ain't got a TV or a DVD player.
Oh.
And I'm like...
The living room then?
We didn't have a DVD player in the living room.
Oh.
And it's my whole combi unit, so I couldn't just move the DVD player.
Yeah. Oh, shit.
Plus it's a communal living room.
Yeah, well, you don't have to be there.
True, but you've already just like...
You already said wanking would be better than thrust dancing.
I guess.
Not the only stain on that chair.
Probably not. He's like, "Oh, I just want to watch it." I was like... Right, he goes, yeah, I don't want. He said, I don't want to do anything. I just want to watch it. I've never seen a porn before. I was like, okay, I'm not moving my TV. And he's like, oh no. And I said, well, you're definitely not doing anything. It could be in my bedroom. So I conceded to the whole. You can watch it.
Your bedroom wasn't that big though. You only had like a single bed in there.
Yeah, so it wasn't a massive bedroom. So I put on this porn, and I think I was just smoking. Like I was reading and smoking, like sat on my bed, and he's just watching this porn. It's the most awkward fucking thing in my life.
Hey, think about it this way, right? It's a little bit like community service, or you're doing a nice thing for someone, showing them their first porn.
You say that, but occasionally I'd look to the side, and his hands would be slowly creeping down his trousers. I'm like, oi, because this is my bed.
Oh.
I'm like, oi, and then he'd whip his hand and go, sorry. And then after like the third time, I was like, just get out, get the fuck out, man. It's like,
That's such a weird story. You know that, right? It's such a weird thing.
I know. In hindsight, I would have just said flat out no.
You're too nice.
That was just fucking creepy. So
what was his style out for that?
He just got up and left.
Just apologised and was like,
He
okay,
said,
fine.
I'm sorry. And then
I feel like there are no style outs with him. He's just embarrassed and leaves. He's not. Sorry, I just had a bit of an itch down there. You know, he could have.
No, none of that. He like blatant. I was like, oh, for fuck's sake. The thing is, why would you want to just watch? Like, looking back at it now, it's like, of course that's what he,
yeah, that was a good point.
Of course that's what he wanted to do.
Maybe he wanted to watch it. You know, might have had a good storyline.
But the thing is, like, I couldn't be bothered to move my TV into his bedroom. Because the thing is, he wouldn't have been able to work the TV anyway. I would have had to always put it on for him. So it's like, here you go, buddy, have fun.
You never touch your remote ever again.
Exactly. It's like, what? I think that's what it was. I felt bad for him, because how else was he going to get the experience? I'm also like, it's either going to be in me, like, doing that, setting this up for you, or it's going to be in my bedroom, or it's going to be in the lounge. I'm like, come on, man. Like, really? Come on.
Maybe you should just bought him some, like, plastic cast boobs. Like, how I feel like these.
He had his own, mate.
Wow. He was more than portly.
So, I do have another story.
Is it burger related?
It is burger related. So, there were 3 of us. There's myself, a guy from Wales, and a guy from Albania. It already sounded like a shit joke.
Yeah, it does.
And we're coming back from the pub. We were having a couple of beers in my kitchen. I was like, oh, you're hungry, boys? And they're like, yeah, let's get some. So I had some, like, just cheap, like, studenty food things, like some burgers. What do you do? As a blinky, like we covered in our cooking episode, chuck them on a tray, put them in the oven cook them. Like, you don't need to fry them or anything like that. None of this bollocks. So, throw them in the oven, and then we're just sitting in the kitchen, having a smoke, having a drink, just chatting, like, back doors open, it's a beautiful day.
Was that the name of the porno? Back doors open, it's a beautiful day.
No, it was not. It was German. It's probably like, Willkommen zu mein Ass. It was a filthy, filthy porno.
That's the Germans for you.
Oh, yes. So, I'm pretty sure it wasn't called that.
I don't know why. I love that a porno should be called Willkommen zu mein Ass.
Oh, good fucking lord. Okay. So, burgers.
Carry on.
Burgers. So, we're having these, like, waiting for these burgers to cook. Like, they're in the oven. They're not long gone in. And in comes Horace. He's back now. He's done his lectures or whatever the fuck he was doing. He comes in and he can smell the burgers. Like, oh, you boys having burgers? I'm like, yeah, we're having burgers, Horace. Like, I've got some more, and they've only just gone in. Do you want me to throw a couple more in for you? And he goes, oh, no, I've got some myself. I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'm like, I'll still chuck them in. Like, there's room on the tray. He goes, oh, no, I'm going to grill them. I said, why? We're already cooking some. It's not much of an issue for me to just chuck some more in for you. And he goes, like, in typical how he was, like, no, I'm doing it myself. I want to grill my burgers.
Yeah, how you get that charcoal taste.
I guess.
Actually, that's not true. They use liquid smoke.
They do use liquid smoke. So, fine, whatever, I don't fucking care, right? He turns the grill on, puts a separate grill, and he gets his burgers, chucks them on the tray, throws them in, and the first warning sign should have been he closed the grill door. Like,
you can do that, yeah, that's not a problem.
He put on full whack.
Yeah, full whack. So you've got a removable handle and you can bang it in the grill, yeah. I would do that. That's not the worst.
Yeah, but you can't fucking see, can you?
If I was blind, would I purposely take the handle off and then try and fap about putting it back onto a hot grill pan? Probably not.
No, I wouldn't. I would keep the door open and just use the grill handle and have it attached.
Yeah.
So he does that, and we're just chatting. I get my burgers out. we're all sitting there having our burger, and I go, Horace, you gonna check your burgers, mate? He goes, they're fine. Right, okay. 10 more minutes goes by. I tell you mind that these have been in for like, they're not good quality burgers. They've been in for like 25 minutes at this point. He flipped them. And the door is shut. And I can start to smell burning. Like quite acrid smoke. And I go, Horace, check your burgers, mate. He went, they're fine. But he's like, I think he said something once, like, what are you, my fucking wife? And he goes over and opens like the door, and then you can hear the sizzling. And he's like, see, they're fine. He managed to attach the handle using oven gloves. As he pulls them out, the oxygen gets to the huge amount of heat and fat. They just combust. Flames are touching the ceiling as these burgers have gone up in flames. We start shouting at him, throw it. He goes, it's fine, I can handle it, as he very slowly starts to rotate towards the sink. At this point, the Albanian guy's there. This guy's, you fucking idiot! Grabs the oven gloves, grabs the pan and launches it into the garden. Goes out with the washing up bowl and pours water on it on the grass. He comes back in and goes, you fucking idiot! You burned down the house! And he storms off in anger. Horace has no more eyebrows, and his face is jet black. He's burned his eyebrows off. And then after they'd cooled down, like after half an hour later, and I knew they were cool, I made him go out and get the pan. I said it's in the middle of the garden. I just left him to it.
Lovely.
Like, go and get it. You got a long cane.
Such a nice person, aren't you?
No.
Oh, there. You are, because you showed him his first porn. You can say that now, right? Like, you can say, oh yeah, as a nice thing I once did, I once showed a blind person his first porn.
It's not anything to be proud of, is it?
I don't know. It's a nice thing you did for someone. What was caring? Well, you couldn't have disliked him that much, T. Because you invited him to your house.
He invited himself down.
Well, you say that. There's inviting yourself, and then you go, yeah, come on down! Price is Right style.
It was one of those irritating, like, you know, when you don't really want someone to be there, but then just things fall into place, and before you know it, they're on a train.
Honestly, no. Not to that extent, anyway.
Well, maybe it was a bit on me. Well, he did come and stay with me, and he was a pain in the arse, rude to everyone. He was just a dick, and I think I was always getting like called out by my family, like, you're so mean to him, like, leave him alone, he's fine. It's like, you're only saying that because he's totally blind. Like, he doesn't deserve a pass because, like, he's totally blind for being an arsehole. He was doing the same things, like trying to make himself a cup of tea and my mum offering to help and doing the whole, I will do it myself, like snapping at people. I'm like, no, he's a bastard. He's just stop being nice to him. Although he did get his little bit of comeuppance. Where my room was, I was in the attic and there's a spiral staircase. And that's where my room was. So getting up was fine. Getting up the stairs was fine. But I was always a bit concerned about him, like, going down. Because, like, there was no banister to this thing. You had to sort of, like, use the middle beam, the central beam to, like, help yourself down. And they were quite narrow. So he wanted to go to the bathroom. I was like, okay, let me just show you where the stairs are. And, of course, in typical how he is, like, I am fine. He ain't got his long cane at this point. I'll deal with it. He steps on the first step successfully. And he has to keep going left down these stairs because, like, there's still an opening down to the room below. Instead of following it round to the left like a sane person would do, instead he takes a step forward and there's nothing fucking there. So he falls through the roof. What makes it worse is because he's a fat guy, he doesn't fit through the gap and he gets stuck. So his chest is wedged and his legs are just kicking. And all he starts doing is start arguing and complaining. And, oh, I'm fucking stuck. Oh, I was going to do it myself and blah, blah, blah. And all this shit. And what I ended up having to do is I had to go down and stand underneath him. I need to put his feet on my shoulders to push himself up. Because that's the only way we could get him out the hole. I was like, you fucking idiot. And at that point, he weren't allowed upstairs again.
You flat out banned him.
Yeah.
You've been told once, now you're not allowed again. Proper
I mean,
5-year-old him.
The thing is, I look back at it now, I should have just let him dangle a little bit longer because his legs were kicking, because like it must have been like 1.5 foot gap between the steps and like the actual opening to the loft.
Mate, if this was nowadays, that would have made a great TikTok video.
It would have done. He proper wedged himself in there. He wasn't going anywhere. He weren't falling through.
He's a special boy. With special needs.
He's a fucking arsehole, mate. I fucking hated him. Like, he was not a nice person. Like, generally. And like, okay, maybe his upbringing and stuff like that, but at the same time, like, he was just a needless arsehole. And I got no time for that. And before people start ragging on us, like, picking on a blind guy, okay, we're both blind as well. So, firstly, don't matter. Secondly, it was really funny.
It's funnier as well when he's an arsehole, isn't it? Because, like, you kind of...
He got his comeuppance.
Yeah, exactly.
All the time.
It's always nice to see, isn't it?
And like, he never hurt himself badly. It was mainly his humiliation that was the thing. Like, he humiliated himself through his idiocy and stubbornness. And it just goes to show, like, if you don't want help as a disabled person, if you don't want the help, there's a nice way to say no. Firstly, be nice when you say no to people. Don't be an arsehole. But sometimes swallow your pride and just sort of like accept that, you know, what someone's saying might be the best solution. Like with the burgers. Like, there was no reason for him to do it on the grill, considering the circumstance. There was no reason for him to do that. It was him being an arsehole and just being stubborn about it.
I say that there, right? You know, if someone tells me how to do something, my instant reaction is, fuck you, we'll see about this.
Yeah, but you're also very lazy, so if you were in his shoes and I said I'd throw a couple more on there for you, you'd be like, all right, cheers.
Yeah, that's very true. I would have done that, yeah.
Yeah, so don't even start down that fucking road. Yeah. So, like, in that instance, he's just being an arsehole. And you can say, oh, but he's learning, well, it's giving him independence. No, because when independence goes to an extent of where it's counterintuitive to the situation, then maybe it's not the best way to do it, I would say.
Yeah.
And that is Horace. Well, I hope you enjoyed some of the stories from Horace. Don't worry, there's going to be more from other people, and we will include in the future stories from ourselves. We are not immune from this, because you got to get a chuckle out of it. And also, if you're disabled, send us yours. We'll give you an anonymous name. I mean, it might be as shit as Horace. But we'll anonymise you. But we've all had our scrapes and idiocies, and we always try to style it out. Like, Horace didn't usually style it out, but I know I've done some silly things and tried to own it and try and make out that I didn't fuck up. So send us these. Hit us up on the social media plugs that are coming up in a moment. See you later, losers.
Thanks for listening to the Seesaw Podcast.
You can find us on Facebook at Seesaw Podcast, Twitter, Seesaw Pod. You can email us at seesawpodcast@gmail.com. You can also find us on TikTok and Instagram at Seesaw Podcast or Seesaw Pod, depending on which one we want. But get us on the other places. This podcast was recorded in front of a blind audience.